by popular request, another cartridge-based vaping system, and this one is called My Blue. The company that owns the brand as such, the blue brand, is Fontum, which is a division of Imperial Brands, which is formerly Imperial Tobacco, I believe. So it's another tobacco company trying to maintain a foothold in cigarettes after the unexpected success of electronic cigarettes. So let's open it up. Out comes the, well, people ask about this knife. It is a Gyakko Whatever maker knife. You'll find another YouTube channel called Gyakko Whatever where they featured making this knife from scratch. It's designed for makers. It's, despite the rather smooth action, it's not actually really intended for going out and bleeding people. It's designed for bleeding things open like vaping devices. So what you get in here, ooh, something better. You've already earned Blue Nation points. No. Warning, harmful if swallowed, harmful in contact with skin, may cause long-lasting harmful effects to aquatic life. Wash hands thoroughly after handling, avoid release to the environment, do not eat, drink or smoke when using this product. If swallowed, call a poison center or doctor. It's really painting a very negative picture. I suppose this is the same thing that, you've got to, in the UK, you've got to have these, this product contains nicotine, which is a highly addictive substance. That's one of the tamer warnings they're forced to put in the cigarette boxes. But it comes with instructions and all the warnings. It comes with one cartridge to start you off with tobacco flavour. What strength is this one? This is a 1.6% tobacco. This is going to make me cough because I occasionally vape just for the entertainment value of it, but not nicotine. Nicotine really is like, ugh, not my thing. Don't want a nicotine addiction. Comes with a micro USB charging lead. Okay. Oh, it's got text on the side. 350 milliamp power. So these systems, let me get the cartridge out. Let me try vaping the cartridge and see what happens. I'll just put this out in a controlled manner. See, that's the way you're supposed to do it. You can change the settings. This one, as I've noticed with others, has a bit of liquid leakage, but it is sealed in a bag. And the reason for that will become apparent once I show you how these go together. They're extremely easy to refill. Modular. I'm not sure how long they'll last in terms of the wick, the film, the heater inside. You click it into the end. It goes in reassuringly. It has a little LED at the end. It has a USB charging port at the end. And when you inhale... yeah, anyway. Right. Oh, yeah. Don't like the nicotine ones. Don't want the nicotine ones. They're not for me. I vape when I vape the nicotine-free liquids. But that's the idea. And I've got another cartridge here. I've got another complete unit here because I was playing about earlier on. And I've refilled it with a nicotine-free liquid, and it can take quite a high density. Let me just demonstrate this. So it can take a fair viscosity of the liquid and produce, I mean, you can actually use cloud chasery type liquids in it, although I wouldn't recommend it. I'd recommend the runnier liquid. So why have I got two? Well, the reason I've got two is because I'm very clearly going to take one of these to bits. And I kind of liked it. I bought one, I took a look at it, played about with it and thought, okay, yeah, that's interesting. I would like to take it to bits. So the construction, there's two, this is metal. Is it steel? Let's give it a magnet test. No, I think it's aluminium. It has two little indents here and two little indents on the other side. Let me just zoom down a bit since I can with the Motor G because it's got super duper zoom actually. I just discovered that recently. That it's other cameras with super high resolution cameras don't quite live up to the expectations. So this is two little dimples. One I'm guessing is to secure the electronics inside here. And the other one is so the cartridge goes in with a click. And it's worth mentioning that this has the sensor in it. If I suck on this, the LED should light. Well, I'll put the beard underneath for extra drama. Yep, see the LED is lighting. It lights blue for fully charged, yellow for running out of charge, and red for on its last gas, put it on charge quickly. So it does have the sensing circuitry, and all that's underneath the cartridge here, it's very simple, are just two gold contacts. So I want the guts out of this. I think it's going to be destructive, but then, that's why That's why I buy these, so I can take mine to bits and then you don't have to take yours. So I'm going to grip the bottom for a start. Oh, that's very reassuring. Is this going to short out? Should I have my explosion containment pie dish on hand? Oh, that's very neat. There it is. That came out so much easier than expected. So there's two little gold spring-loaded contacts here. There's the lithium cell, which says, oh, it says 1.3 watt hour. That's not helpful. I'd rather have it say milliamp hour. The other numbers on it, you can probably see the other numbers on it. I can't see the other numbers on it because it's quite small text. GS801345. 180717, that's possibly the size, and it is one of those kind of elliptical cells that's favoured in these devices. I like the fact that this is very modular. So I'm guessing the circuitry is all down at the bottom here, and I can already see something very familiar. Let's see if I can get this off. What's holding everything in place here? Glue, I think. Oh, yeah. Okay. Let's see if I can get this circuit board out. Keep in mind this is a charged lithium cell. Is it going to retract? Is it going to... Oh, it is sliding out. This is very modular. This is very standardish looking. The thing that looks like a microphone is probably a pressure sensor. It may also contain the chip, although I see a little chip here. Is there a number on that chip? Oh, you know what? I shall take some pictures of this close up, and then we'll take a much closer look at the circuit board, and then we'll go into the detail of how this is made and how to refill it. So I'll be back in a moment. 1 moment, please. Well, I have to say that the manual makes bad reading here. I really don't recommend reading it because it's such a downer. It says, notice, nicotine is an essential constituent of the tobacco plant which affects the nervous system. Among other things, it is harmful for heart, blood pressure and coronary arteries. Nicotine has a highly addictive effect and is apart from that toxic, then in brackets, lethal, in case of sufficiently high doses for all routes of exposure. Blue products may contain small parts could present a choking hazard. And then it goes on to say, liquids are manufactured in a facility that may use equipment that is exposed to trace amounts of tree nuts and or peanuts. I mean, seriously, it's just they're saying everything about it can kill you. And then it says at the end, do not use blue products in high oxygen environments, especially when using home oxygen therapies when your lungs are being completely destroyed by traditional cigarettes. Lovely. It also says... My Blue liquid pods are only compatible with My Blue device. They don't fit in any other device. Retain a copy of these instructions. Do not use any charging device that has not been created by Blue, and do not charge an extended period. All you get is a USB lead. It's, you have no control over the charge you're going to plug it into. And the do not charge an extended period is one of those cop-outs that if you leave it charging and it blows up, they can say it was your fault for leaving it charging. It's all... Yeah, I don't recommend the manual. It's not fun. Yeah. The device is nice, the manual is not, but they're required to actually put all that text in. So let's zoom down just a little bit here. Let's focus down here and take a look at the circuit board. The circuit board is complex. I like the way it comes out in this little buggy, and it's got the little silicone housing, not just for the wires, but for holding everything together and holding the microphone type device. I'll go into the microphone type device later. And those little gold pins in the end are really nice. I shall go into them later as well. So it's got the charging socket. It has what appears to be a charge control chip. It has a transistor on this side for actually switching the heating element on and off. And then the other side, and the charging socket, and loads of coupling capacitors. And then on the other side, it's got, I'll just turn that up the right way. It's got a 431, which... I think that's a voltage reference chip, which is probably being used by this chip here, which I'm guessing is either a custom chip or a microcontroller. Not sure, because there's two big chips. E057K9JG. That's not terribly helpful, those numbers, I don't think. But this is probably providing a voltage reference because I'd guess that the chips may just run off the battery supply, and this is providing a stable reference for a analog to digital converter so it can monitor the battery voltage. It has 4 LEDs. It's only got one little silicone rubber stud that just pushes in and clicks in, and it's just illuminated from the sides by red, yellow and blue. The reason there are 2 reds is one appears to be controlled by a completely different chip. I think the 3 are controlled by this chip and 1 is controlled by that. It's almost, I'm getting strong hints of Vype, where they had a lot of complex circuitry, and the circuitry was made, it was obvious that it was using that circuitry to just provide a belt and braces approach. Their main thing was that they did not want the lithium cell overcharged. They didn't want it running out of control. They didn't want it sort of turning the heat element on and just leave it on and going far. Everything is just like double protection. I've just suddenly realised the tumble dryer's on. Not sure if that's a good idea or not. One moment, please. Overall tumble drying for tomorrow. I don't know if that was in the sound level. You know, this Moto G6 phone has that annoying noise gate at the bottom that if there's just enough noise in the background, it will cause cutting down. I hope it wasn't doing that. That would be annoying if it was. So the next thing we're going to look at on this circuit board, there's glue on that bit. That's part of what was holding it all in. The way they've done this, the sledge does have little indents. It's got a little recess in here and a silicone seal. Where is the bit? Oh, there it is. There's the pins in the top and a little vent hole. The reason for the vent hole is to allow the pressure change to be detected. It's got this little silicone surround. And when you slide it in to the correct depth, I'm going to have to be careful here because the wires all hang down. This is probably not a good idea. I shall fold one of the wires in out the way. Oh no, I'm folding all the wires in towards each other. But when this slides in, it kind of reaches that point and will then just sort of click into place. I'm going to be careful what I do here. Oh, it's trying to push this little silicone thing down. It's kind of attempts at sealing, I guess. And if I push this in gingerly with a screwdriver, does it click? Or will it keep pushing right on up? I think that's more or less it. Oh, it does click decisively into place. That must just be to make manufacturing easier. Okay, that works very well. So it's got the 2 spring-loaded gold pins. That's really nice. It's kind of designed, it's well designed fundamentally. Just like the other devices, it's like they're making a serious, they don't want any comeback off these. It's their new replacement for cigarettes that is slightly lower risk than actual tobacco. The sensor is the little device that looks like a microphone. And I have to say, I'm glad I bought 2 of these because there's no way this thing's going back together. It is completely, it's wrecked. It's destroyed now. I've really taken it completely to bits. In particular, the little microphone device, because I think this is the bit that actually sends a signal back. I'm guessing that will be controlled by the microcontroller as well. But this is very reminiscent of what you'd find in the cheap disposable, tiny little electronic cigarettes doing the whole show. It would normally handle things like the charging. It would normally handle things like the sensing of the vacuum. And what it does there is this metal ring here, I put up an angle so you can see that it's got a sort of metallized disc sort of fused to the other side. And that touches that. There's that pink separator there, which keeps it away from touching the sort of screened case. And when you draw a vacuum, there's some holes in the bottom here. It will detect a differential across that little... let's try and get this back out then. Oh. It's all going to go wrong. No, it's coming out quite easy. It is very nicely designed. So this little silicone port here is the pressure sensing area. And when you pull a vacuum, that metal thing domes up and it touches that metal and it just simply bridges a contact and that signals to this. And normally the ones I've seen before, the chip did everything. It actually switched the power to the heating element. But in this case, all I think it's doing is providing a signal to the microcontrollers, one of the microcontrollers, or maybe both, or if that's what they are. just to say operate. Now, it's worth mentioning in the instructions it said do not blow. So I blew, and it did not like being blown at all. I wanted to see where the air went into it, because if you get other cigarettes and you blow into them, then the smoke the vapor will often come out the sort of air ports. But in the case of electronic cigarettes, it tends to blow the vapor down the inside and all over the electronics. And I think that's pretty much what it does here. And certainly this little thing didn't like it. I think the moisture went between this and this and kind of bridged them out, because every time you put the cartridge in, it tried to run. It was starting up. It didn't like it at all. And it does have timers that will time out if that happens. But in that case, it just wasn't thrilled. It took a while to recover. What is the next thing I can take a look at here? The next thing is the cartridge. I'll show you how it opens. It's quite interesting in its own right. It is fairly easy to refill, but I'm not sure how many uses you get out of it. You can buy the cartridges, which ultimately 99.999% of people are probably just going to go in and they're going to hand over their £6. They're going to get a £3 each cartridge that contains 1.5 millilitres. And basically speaking, that means that the liquid is, what's the cost? I worked it out, 1.5 millilitres for £3, you get 2 for £6. Makes it round about £2,000 a litre for glycerine and propylene glycol, probably in 50-50 mix with a wee dash of nicotine and flavourings, so a high markup. But again, it's probably still going to be cheaper than cigarettes, and it is aimed at these are aimed at the people who don't want to start faffing around with little bottles of liquid and topping things up. So to take these apart, let's open. Oh, I've already opened one, haven't I? Oh well, that's two open now. This is where a paper towel would have been really good. I'm going to grab a paper towel and a little dish. Okay, I've got those items, but first let's take an exploded view, look at an exploded view of the cartridge. So it's got the end black bit, which is just cosmetic. All it does is it clips onto these two bits here, and it just provides a little air port to actually, well, inhale the vapor through. There is, I should actually draw it in, there's a little nib in here, comes down, slightly tapered, and it goes into this. When this is inside, the pipe goes down the middle of the cartridge into this, which is a little silicone rubber insert, and it sits like that. Prongs go down like that. I think that might have a little rim round it. And then it goes into the heater unit itself, which is interesting. I've got some pictures of that on its own. If you look from the top, it has a very wide coil in it. So it's got two sort of gold-plated contacts, which the heating coil, which is a really thick one, it is quite a high-power device. It seems to be pressed into these contacts in some way, and this wick that comes through, the wick comes through like this. Draw it in so it's kind of clearer. So the wick comes through the coil like this and just pokes out the ends like that. The contacts here push through and then are folded out over on the bottom of the unit like this to actually hold it in. Complete the little drop of liquid here. So they're pushed through, folded down, which means they sit at slightly different angles, doesn't matter. The springiness of the pins allows for that. The air is pulled in here between those pins. That's what allows it to actually create that vacuum differential. The air is pulled in past the coil, and the coil is the coil assembly is here with the plug coming in here. This is a silicone O-ring seal, and then the wicks pointing out like this, but it's sealed away from the rest of that. So as you pull the air in, it comes in through the bottom, past that coil, and then goes up this tube to actually breathe in. But the liquid itself is kind of separated from that. The liquid can only go in via the wick. And the way to actually refill these, they're refreshingly easy to refill. I shall zoom down for this. I shall bring in a nice focus object. You know, this is where the Trumpy brick might be quite useful. I will bring the Trumpy brick in. It's a good height. I've misplaced the Trumpy brick. Let's focus down on high, then turn it over. And I shall put this down here. I shall brighten the exposure up just a tiny bit. And I shall show you how to open these. The insert has two little tiny tabs, one there and one at the other side. And all you have to do, it's a friction fit. All you have to do is just gently push up on those and the bottom will pop off. The first time will be slightly harder, but once it's done, it's done. So there's the little heater assembly. I shall put that there. And then you can tip the liquid out. I've got a little tub here that I'll just tip that liquid into that is completely nicotine loaded. Now, the way other people have shown how to refill these is simply to then fill it up and then shove this back in. But it's a little tiny bit more complicated than that. I think the best way is to actually pull this little thing out as well, this little insert here, and reseat that onto this because it does seal onto that quite tightly. It's got two little wings that go down and press against the wick. And if you don't do this, it can actually push that up at an odd angle and it could potentially let the liquid go into the sort of air channel area and you could end up sort of inhaling liquid up the thing. So this does go on. It's a bit footery, but it does pop in like a little grommet. It's worth mentioning that the silicone seal round here, the silicone rubber sort of O-ring, it's very decisive. It's very accurate. It just pushes in firmly, as you'll see shortly. I shall put that to the side momentarily. I shall just actually mop it up in this bit of paper towel. And then I shall put it there. You can see the wick poking out the sides of that. And to refill it, all you have to do is add 1.5 millilitres of your liquid, or basically speaking, you can see a little pipe in there, just down the side until it reaches the top, but not flowing down the middle of that pipe. So if I hold it on its side, you can see it sort of flowing in at an angle. And that'll do it. And then after that, all you have to do is press this back in. Job done. It's that easy to refill it. So you can refill this, but I mean, as I say, a very large number of people won't bother. They're not interested in that. They're so used to buying packs of cigarettes that they're just going to go in and they're going to buy their brand new one. But that's how easy it is to refill that. And I could demonstrate that now by vaping from it, but it will actually give me nicotine the first few things. So we'll tell you what, let's do that. So I'll just, I shall not really drag too much of that nicotine in. Let's focus down on here. If that's going to focus down there, it's not really a great thing to focus down on. Let's focus down on that because it's a bit sharper. Yeah, that should be better. So I shall pop this in here and vape. Oh, that is completely full of the nicotine. It takes a wee while for the nicotine bit to wear away, but that's how easy it is to refill. The assembly is quite logical. Once you actually, if you do get one of these, you realise how straightforward it is to do that if you're technically inclined, if you're into doing stuff like that. As I say, a lot of people will just not bother with that. The other thing is, it charges about 800 milliamps, which is quite high for a 350 milliamp hour cell. It's just designed for a quick charge, and it is a quick charge, about half an hour tops. But I get the feeling that, you know, because it also draws quite a lot of current, what is the resistance of those? I'm guessing the resistance is going to be quite hard to measure because it's going to be so low. Let's null the leads out. So about 0.4. Oh, this is going to be so low. I reckon I'm not going to be able to read it easily. Oh, maybe not. About 1.5 ohms. Does that sound quite plausible? Yeah, round about that. So it's going to draw quite a bit of current, and as such, it doesn't take you long if you're playing around it, particularly if you're using the nicotine-free liquid. It doesn't take you long to run the battery flat. I could see, it's very smart, it's very slim and low profile, but I could see people buying a few of these, which is a genius bit of marketing, possibly done deliberately, but also, I suppose one of the things they've gone for here is the aesthetic, that it is actually quite nice to hold. It works very well. It's got that good sensing. It's easy to charge. It's quite a smart little unit, and it is very much pocket-sized. So it's another fantastic design, in short. It's the tobacco industry has really said, well, if we're going to do this, we might as well do it properly. And the knock-on effect of that is that while their target audience will be buying these expensive cartridges, the more thrifty will just get bottles of their own liquid, and they'll just reuse the cartridge several times, or until the coil starts burning up. But yeah, it's impressive. It's a very neat little thing. Very smart indeed. Good construction and good functionality. It produces lots of fog. Oh, I should mention, I tried it with the Cloud Chaser liquid. I think I mentioned that at the beginning. And it does actually feed it through. It's probably not optimized for that. It's probably more optimized for a 50-50 vegetable glycerine and propylene glycol sort of base e-liquid mix. But it did handle the heavier ones just because that wick is so big and that coil is so big as well. It pulled that liquid in no problem. So there you go, a neat device. I mean, okay, it's a smoking device effectively, but it is a very neat implementation, just like Vype was. It's just very well done.